right now.
And not the impeachment court acted on the impeachment cases of former President Estrada and Merceditas Gutierrez. But we submit iba yung facts nung mga kaso na yon. In the Estrada case, supervening events led to the termination of the trial. In the case of Gutierrez, the Senate did not convene as an impeachment court. Kaya iba, apples to oranges, ika nga. We believe archiving the case is a matter exclusively within the powers and jurisdiction of the Senate Impeachment Court. Kaya lay on the table sana ang maayos na proseso under our rules. Allow me to reiterate that the final decision of the Supreme Court, yes, must be respected. The Supreme Court ruled that the impeachment court did not acquire jurisdiction, and its ruling rendered the official acts of convening as a court, of taking the oath, issuing of summons, and remanding the complaint as, for all intents and purposes, nullified. Kaya tinanong natin kanina, ano na ang nangyari sa constitutional duty and constitutional power as sole power to try and decide impeachment cases. We took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, and that includes our own determination whether or not the nullification of the acts of the impeachment court, an exclusive sole power to try and decide impeachment cases, if the ruling was based on the facts and not on a misappreciation of the facts. Kaya nga, sana hinintay ang motion for reconsideration. The impeachment court, being ousted of its jurisdiction by the Supreme Court, is unprecedented, based, and sadly, as we read the ruling, the decision, based on the wrong facts. It is disturbing. The distinguished minority leader pointed out, point for point, in his interpellation and manifestation, the errors in the facts that the Supreme Court based its findings of grave abuse. I reiterate, one cannot be right with the law if one is wrong with the facts. And that's why napakahalaga nung motion for reconsideration. There is still an opportunity for the errors to be corrected, kaya nandyan ang MR. And this is the reason why we voted no. Napaka-precedent setting nitong nawalan ng jurisdiksyon ang impeachment court, nawalan ng kapangyarihan o isinantabi ang kapangyarihan, sole power of the House of Representatives to initiate proceedings, at naway sa pamamagitan ng motion for reconsideration, mabalik yung ating kaninang nabanggit na ma-harmonize yung lahat ng mga constitutional provisions na hindi nag-aaway kung hindi lahat ay mabibigyan ng legal at binding effect. The power of judicial review, the sole power to initiate impeachment proceedings, and the sole power to try and decide cases of the Supreme Court, of the House of Representatives, and of the Senate. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Senator Pangilinan. Mr. Secretary.
Senator Soto.
The minority leader is recognized to explain his vote.
Mr. President, I have more than expressed myself on this issue. Just in addition, a lingering question. How can the Senate archive something that is not before it? The articles are before the impeachment court. Therefore, I cast a negative vote.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Senator Soto.
Senator Tulfo Erwin.
Senator Erwin Tulfo is recognized to explain his vote.
Ginoong Pangulo, mga kapwa kong senador at sa sambayanang Pilipino. Bumoto po ako ng yes sa mosyon na sumasang-ayon sa desisyon ng Korte Suprema sa impeachment case laban kay Vice President Duterte. Ito po ay hindi sa gusto kong iligtas ang Vice Presidente, kundi dahil malinaw ang sinasabi ng ating batas at mas malinaw pa ang desisyon ng Korte Suprema na ito po ay labag sa konstitusyon. Alinsunod po sa one-year bar rule, hindi maaring magsampa muli ng impeachment complaint ng 1 taon matapos ang naunang reklamo. Ayon po sa kataas-taasang hukuman, ito ay nalabag. At bilang mambabatas, hindi ako pwedeng pumikit na lang sa harap ng isang tahasang paglabag sa ating saligang batas. At para saan o ano pa ang saysay ng panunumpa natin noong nakaraang linggo sa tungkulin na nakasaad doon na that I will protect and defend the Constitution kung ito ay susuwin lang naman natin. Ngunit, linawin ko ito. Ang boto kong ito ay hindi para i-absuelto si VP Sara Duterte. Sa totoo lang po, gusto ko siyang humarap sa paglilitis upang maipaliwanag ang mga issue upang sumagot sa mga tanong ng taong bayan at upang harapin anumang pananagutan kung ito'y nararapat. Dahil ang paninilbihan sa taong bayan ay hindi po pribilehiyo, kundi isa ring pananagutan. Public service is not just a privilege, rather it carries also huge responsibilities. Sa loob po ng mahabang panahon, nasanay na ang ilang matataas na opisyal kapag may kapangyarihan, may lusot. Kapag mataas ang posisyon, immune sa tanong o investigasyon. Tama na, panahon nang baguhin ito. Kung tunay po na walang kasalanan si VP Duterte, dapat siya mismo ang manguna sa pagbubukas ng lahat ng dokumento, paggamit ng budget at mga hakbangin niya bilang pangalawang Pangulo at kalihim ng DepEd. Walang dahilan para umiwas kung malinis po ang konsensya. Ang boto kong yes ay hindi pagtatanggol sa kanya, kundi pagtatanggol sa legalidad ng proseso. Hindi po ito ang wakas. Kung may basihan at sa tamang panahon, hindi po ako magdadalawang isip na suportahang muli ang isang lehitimo at makatarungang impeachment. Dahil ang pamahalaan po ay para sa taong bayan, hindi po para sa iilang nasa puder. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po ang sambayanang Pilipino.
Maraming salamat, Senator Erwin Tulfo. Ginoong Sekretaryo.
Senator Tulfo Rafi.
Senator Rafi Tulfo is hereby recognized to explain his vote.
Mr. President, my vote is yes. Let me explain my vote. My dear colleagues, in our Constitution, the sovereign Filipino people agreed to establish a government that will run our country. Malinaw dito kung ano ang kapangyarihan ng bawat sangay. Ang legislatura ang tagagawa ng mga batas. Ang ehekutibo ang tagapatupad ng batas. On the other hand, ang Korte Suprema naman ang taga-interpret o tagapaliwanag ng batas kapag may hindi malinaw dito o may pagtatalo kung paano ito ipapatupad. Kaya naman, ang respeto ng bawat sangay ng gobyerno sa isa't isa ay mahalaga upang tuloy-tuloy ang maayos na pagpapalakad ng ating gobyerno. Under the Constitution, it is the House of Representatives that shall have the exclusive power to initiate all cases of impeachment. Wala po tayo papel sa proseso na yan. Our role only comes when a valid articles of impeachment complaint is filed before us. Mr. President, the case before the Supreme Court is about the impeachment initiation procedure before the House of Representatives. Whether a case of impeachment has been initiated according to the text and spirit of the Constitution. Of course, I will not delve into the correctness of the decision of the Supreme Court, but I believe it is within their authority to interpret the Constitution and declare whether the actions and processes before the House is constitutional. And so, we must accord the decision of the Supreme Court the same respect that they give the laws that we enact as the legislative. That is the scope and limitation of our powers. Having said that, allow me to go to the clear, dispositive portion of the decision. Sa dulo po ng 97-page decision, ito po ang sinabi ng ating Korte Suprema. Una, the articles of impeachment are unconstitutional and are deemed null and void ab initio. In other words, walang bisa nung simula pa lang. Second, the court said the Senate did not acquire jurisdiction to constitute itself into an impeachment court. Ibig sabihin, hindi nagkaroon ng Senado ng kapangyarihang maglitis bilang impeachment court. Mr. President, I agree that we should abide by the decision of the court to avoid any constitutional crisis. And if I were to take the duty to my heart, I believe the decision is very clear. No impeachment court was validly convened. That's my vote. With that said, however, there are concerns raised regarding the decision. So it is important for the Supreme Court to address these concerns. I have faith in the Supreme Court that it will perform its mandate. That's all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Raffy Tulfo. Secretary?
Senator Villanueva.
You just saw the Senate voting on whether to archive the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. Vote count so far, 15 yes, 3 no, and 1 abstention. We will bring you our sports stories on Play-by-Play after a quick break. You're watching One News. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching Play-by-Play only here on One News. Thank you for tuning in. Again, let's go back to our top sports story. Gilas Pilipinas looking to bounce back in the FIBA Asia Cup after opening their campaign with a really tough loss, Chinese Taipei.
What went wrong for the Philippines this time around? One Sports' Carlo Pamintuan tells us more about the match and what the team had to say afterwards.
Gilas Pilipinas did not get a great start in the match as only Justin Brownlee was getting any kind of offense going early. It also didn't help that AJ Edu picked up 2 early fouls, forcing Coach Tim Cohn to go to his bench. Chinese Taipei dominated the first quarter, but Brownlee gave the Philippines something to cheer for with a half-court buzzer beater. The second period saw Gilas inching closer, with Brownlee finally getting some help from Calvin Oftana and Scotty Thompson. But for every Gilas run, Chinese Taipei had an answer. It also didn't help that Gilas was in penalty for a majority of the match. Chinese Taipei hit their threes and their mid-range jumpers consistently, but Gilas fouled way too much, giving up 35 free throws in the game. Brownlee was also plagued by this as he picked up his 4th foul early in the third quarter. This prompted the entry of Kevin Kiambao for the first time in the match, and he did not disappoint. KQ injected much-needed life to the cause of Gilas as they battled fiercely, even with Brownlee sitting on the bench. With Gilas only down by 6, Brownlee fouled out of the game with 4 minutes and 31 remaining. This severely hampered their offense, while Chen Ying Chun hit key baskets for Chinese Taipei. Gilas ended up losing the match 95-87. Justin Brownlee finished with 19 points in the game, but the majority of these points came in the first half. Kevin Kiambao added 17 points coming off the bench, while Dwight Ramos and Scotty Thompson scored 16 points apiece for Gilas.
Lagi ko lang sinasabi sa sarili ko na stay ready mentality, and ayun nga, yung trust ni Coach Tim sa akin nandun, so kailangan ko siya suklian kung ano yung binibigay niya sa akin, and then ayun, tough loss, pero madami kami natutunan dito. Mag-a-adjust kami kagad for the game tomorrow.
He came out and played with a lot of energy, hit some big shots for us, but just still came up short. Again, we were playing from our heels, so we were trying to rush back into the game and took a lot of ill-advised shots, made a lot of ill-advised fouls. But in terms of the way Kevin played very, very well, and he was the highlight of the team.
Now the Philippines will have to forget this loss quickly and pour out all their effort in beating New Zealand in their next game.
Without a doubt, they are playing high-level basketball, extremely well coached. Obviously they really out-coached us tonight, and disappointing performance on my part, and really hurt by the loss, but we'll see what we can do. We have to see if we can bounce back from this and move forward. That's the only thing that we can do at this point.
From Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Carlo Pamintuan.
Moving on to volleyball, the work continues for the Zeus Coffee Thunderbells after advancing to the PVL On Tour quarterfinals. The Thunderbells had to pull off a stunning reverse sweep against the Choco Mucho Flying Titans to move on to the next round. Up next for Zeus Coffee will be the undefeated PLDT high-speed hitters tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Despite getting just one day to rest and prepare, Gonzaga and head coach Jerry Yee expect their squad to give it their all in the quarterfinals.
Masarap maglaro kasi alam natin kung gaano silang kasulit. So doon din mas mag-engage yung team kung saan na ba talagang kaya namin. Sige, no excuses, di ba? Pagod kami, ganun kami. Rest lang ng one day, then laro pa. Pero siguro mas enjoy talaga namin yung game against PLDT na mas ilabas na namin kung ano yung pinagtatraining namin ang laro namin. And again, God will do the rest.
Kami lalaro, mag-execute, yun pa lang naman yung hinahabol namin, yun pa lang naman yung tinatry namin i-keep up na standards. So we want to play with the better teams para maging better din. LDT, no loss pa. So maganda yun for us. No? Sana makakuha pa rin kami ng mga assets. Baka surfin. So ganun lang, laro lang kami.
Meantime, the Akari Chargers hope their momentum from the knockouts carries over to the quarterfinals. The Chargers booked their spot after eliminating the reigning All-Filipino champions, the Petrogas Angels, in straight sets. Here's what Akari head coach Tina Salak has to say ahead of their quarterfinal showdown against the Signal HD Spikers tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Yung prep namin kasi parang sabi ko nga sa team kanina, ang sarap mag-ensayo tomorrow. I think yun yung pinaka-the best mo na nagawin namin. Yung ma-motivate namin each and everyone kasi pati ngayon. So tapos, one day rest lang and then you have to train back. But for me, gusto ko dalili na itong araw. Remember this day, kung ano yung nangyari this day, especially you play, so remember it forever, diba? Parang mas madali na kasi magtrabaho after this game. Madali na. But yun nga, medyo yung madali na yun, hindi talaga literal na madali. But sa amin na sana ma-motivate pa sila. Nandito na eh.
Coming up, two Mobile Legends streamers are putting their earnings to good charitable use. Find out how they're helping the community when play-by-play returns. Welcome back. You're watching Play-by-Play on One News. Gaming sometimes brings out the worst in people, but other times it becomes a gateway to help those in need. Mobile journalist Amy Atienza brings the story of two Mobile Legends streamers who are using their earnings to help build a better community.
Streaming has become an integral part in making games, whether online or offline, reach a wider audience. Two streamers, though, decided to make an even bigger difference. Meet Trisha and Mary Liz, two small streamers of the MOBA game Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Like most streamers of the game, they started with just a camera and their phone until they started earning little by little. Now, they've earned enough to give back to their community. They did so by conducting feeding programs and building classrooms for students in Alamada, North Cotabato.
Parang yung natanggap na namin, sinimulan na talaga namin agad. Like we tried to contact the carpenters there from North Cotabato, mga kakilala ni Mary. Sabi ko, start na natin, kawawa yung mga bulilit eh. Ganun. The classroom was halfway patapos na. Kasi it was her own sariling sikap niya yun eh, sa pag-streaming namin.
This is especially close to Mary Liz's heart. Being a teacher of around 20 grade 6 students in Alamada, the two saw firsthand the hardships students have to endure, from extreme heat and heavy rains to braving rivers just to go to school, and just the overall lack of facilities.
Nagpapasilong sila sa puno, yung wala pa silang classroom. Tapos may times talaga na sumisingit sila sa ibang grade levels, which is very inconvenient for the grade 6 students.
Aside from building classrooms, Mary Liz and Trisha also hold feeding programs every month. They also use MLBB not just to bond with the kids, but to also motivate them to study harder. And as they continue their noble work, Mary Liz and Trisha are also feeling the love from the students.
Nakakatuwa na makita silang masaya. They were really thankful way back from the time na nabuo na yung classroom because hindi na daw sila maiinitan. Sabi nila kay Mary, "Teacher, thank you."
Mobile journalist Amy Atienza, we are One News.
Just an update on the ongoing Senate vote on whether to archive the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte, as you can see on your screens right now. 17 voted yes, 3 voted no, and 1 abstention. And you can continue watching that Senate session on the One News PH Facebook page. And that's all from us tonight here on Play by Play. But you can catch us again tomorrow, though, for more sports updates at 8:30 p.m. for a play-by-play of the day's top sports stories.
Play-by-play is on One News, that's Signal TV, Channel 8 on SD, and Channel 250 on HD. We are also available on Signal Play and Pilipinas Live.
Andre Felix.
And Cheska Latangkalaw, thank you for watching. Good night.